tosses have thrown it out the door with their behaviour this week. They should be ashamed of themselves. They should absolutely look at themselves in the mirror and wonder what the have they been doing. They're hissing at us and calling us cheats in the Lord's long room, and they have the gall to say, talk to us about the spirit of cricket. Absolute bullshit.
There's a big appeal that's hit him on the pad. He's out. Lions gone. New South Wales are 9 down. Onto Sydney Road, and it's hit a car. Oh, I think it's hit a car. What a way to bring up your 50.
All you want is to leave it all behind. Now there is a simple remedy to stay fit for all eternity.
Good evening, folks, and welcome back to the Cricket Unfiltered podcast. I am Manners, and I'm here to wrap up day 3 from the second test in Galle, a seesawing day. The first day really where Sri Lanka threw some decent punches, and at one stage when Kusal Mendis and Angelo Matthews were batting together this afternoon, it seemed like they might be able to set Australia a challenging total, but alas, the mighty Aussies roared back in the last 45 minutes and have turned the test on its head. Australia started the day at 3 for 330. They were all out for 414. That meant a lead of 157. And then Sri Lanka finished the day 8 for 211. They lead by just 54 runs. Matthew Kuhnemann, 4 wickets. Nathan Lyon, 3 wickets, and they have stopped Sri Lanka in their tracks. The only, I guess, glimmer of hope for Sri Lanka is Kusal Mendis is not out, 48. Well, let's go back to the beginning of play. Australia resumed at 3 for 330, and Steve Smith was out pretty quickly. When the score was 350, he was out for 131 to Jay Surya, an edge behind, and he was caught. And that broke a 259-run partnership between Smith and Carey, and that is the highest 4th wicket partnership by a visiting pair in Sri Lanka, going past Mike Hussey and Sean Marsh's 258. And then a couple of balls later, Josh Inglis was bowled for a duck going back and missed a quicker ball from Jay Surya that went on with the arm, and he was gone. So that was a couple of quick wickets for Sri Lanka, and they started to fight back. Not long after, Carey was out for 156. So he's now the highest scorer by an Australian wicketkeeper in Asia. No Australian wicketkeeper had made 150 in a test match in Asia. He made a beautiful 156 of just 188 balls with 15 fours and 2 sixes. He was out bowled by Jay Surya sweeping. And from there, that brought out the debutant, Cooper Connolly. And look, Connolly was in a bit of a no-win situation here. You know, on test debut in difficult conditions, he tried to loft one over the top off Paris. In the end, he skied one and he was out for 4. I think that was a nervous shot. That was a player that, you know, was looking to sort of make their mark. And to be fair to him, it's worked in every other level of cricket where he's gone up. You know, when he went up to the Big Bash, he was very successful. When he went up to the Sheffield Shield and the Sheffield Shield finally smashed a runner ball, 90. So, you know, it's worked in the past being aggressive. It didn't work at this time. Now, Chris from Twitter asked me a question. He said, how did Connolly, Inglis, and to a lesser degree Webster jump McSweeney in the batting order? And I guess that's the pecking order for batters that they're going to pick. And it's a good question from Chris. McSweeney probably is a little bit unlucky not to have played on this tour, but you know, each of those offers something a bit different. Cooper Connolly offers left arm spin as well as his batting. And I just have to say, having watched his bowling in this game, I think his spin is a long way from test level at the moment. It's handy, but I don't think it's any higher than the level of a part-timer at the moment. Surely, I'm sure it'll be different in white ball cricket, but at test level, I just think, you know, we'd call it nude nuts if we were playing something like that. You know, there's not much on them. And he hasn't really made an impact with the ball But, Connolly does offer a bit more does offer something with the ball, unlike McSweeney. Inglis is known to be a great player of spin, and we saw that in the first test. And we've seen Webster offer, he offers a lot to this team with the bat and ball, taking a late wicket today. So I think McSweeney was unlucky, and he's got a bit of a battle now to get back in this test side with Constas, Green coming back. But yeah, I think the selectors have done well blooding a lot of players in the last 6 test matches really from that after that first test in Perth. They did start to look at making changes, and we've seen the team change with a lot of debutants in the last 6 test matches. And then I think, McSweeney's got a real chance to come back in the future, but probably not right now. So then Mitchell Starc was out. He was bowled by Jay Sarir, trying to hit one out of the park for 8, and that was Jay Sarir's 5th wicket, his 11th 5-wicket haul in Test cricket. Bo Webster was out to a big spinning off spinner from Paris, from Mendes. Ramesh Mendes bowled between the gate. He was out for 31. I thought a handy 31. It's the 4th top scorer in the innings, and it just got Australia's lead up to above 150, which every run Australia got in front would be crucial. So he was disappointed when he got out that he didn't go on with it, but the ball turned a mile. There's not much he could do about that one. But he did just hang around for a while with Carey and did get that lead up to above 150. So then Kuhnemann was the last player out, bowled by Ramesh Mendes, and that was the end of the Australian innings for 414. So Australia actually lost 7 for 64. They were 3 for 350, all out 414. Now, when we fast forward, I don't think it's going to cost Australia the Test match, but that collapse could have been decisive if Sri Lanka had batted a bit better. I think everyone acknowledges that batting last on this pitch would be very, very difficult. And if Australia was chasing anything above 150, it would be tough. And at one point when Matthews and Kusal Mendes were batting, it looked like they could take Sri Lanka into a fairly sizable lead and put some pressure on Australia. And if that had been the case, you would have looked at Australia's collapse here and thought, geez, they did make a bit of a meal of being 3 for 350. I mean, from 3 for 350, you'd expect a score of around 500, very close to 500, touching 500. But it just shows how tough that wicket is to bat on, how you need to get in, and how well Smith and Carey played yesterday. I think you just cannot emphasize that they have looked like they're batting on a different pitch than every other player, and extraordinary stuff. We know how good Smith is in these conditions, but I wasn't quite sure Carey had an innings of that quality and magnitude in him. And I think we see today, although the pitch would have deteriorated a little, it's not an easy pitch to bat on. And what those two did yesterday and putting on 259, extraordinary, and will be match defining. Just on the stats, so I was looking at Crick Info overnight, and Steve Smith took 206 innings to get to 36 Test hundreds. That is the second fastest player to do so, behind Ricky Ponting, who achieved the feat in 200 innings. And it does make me think about the Ponting versus Smith legacy. And, I lived through both of these batters. I saw all of Ponting's career. I've seen all of Smith's career. And, Smith to me always seems to have just been tracking a bit higher than Ponting. But I think that is maybe my memory being clouded by the end of Ponting's career. And I think we might see now, if Smith keeps playing, his stats might start to eclipse Ponting's. If Smith can keep up this run of form and churning out hundreds, then he could go past Ponting. I said it last night. And Sachin Tendulkar has 51 Test hundreds, a correction from last night, not 50. So, Smith needs 15 more. It's not impossible, especially if he keeps playing for another 4 years till he's almost 40. Even 3 years, he could get close if he keeps up this form. But, it's not. I would say it's not likely he'll get to set Sachin Tendulkar's record, but I wouldn't rule it out. But yeah, it did make me think about why I've always just thought Smith was that much better. And I think a couple of things. Firstly, it's, as I said, Ponting's career at the end. I think Smith has started off better in Asia in his career. So Ricky Ponting, it took him a long time to come to grips with Asian conditions. And he eventually did and played very well. But Smith has been adept at that from the beginning. So, yeah, in the next couple of years, Smith could really move away from Ponting as being, clearly our best since Bradman with the bat. Greg Chappell, Alan Border. There's a lot of other contenders, but so far Smith is in on a plane of his own. The sheer volume of runs he's scored, the fact that he's done it everywhere, he is just a notch above everyone else at the moment. And Carey became only the fourth Australian wicketkeeper to make 150 runs in a test innings. Ian Healy, Adam Gilchrist and Brad Haddon all did it. So then Australia, they have a 157-run lead. They are bowled out basically in the over before lunch. So Australia lost 7 for 84 in the morning and 7 for 64 once they lost the first wicket. So they come out after lunch, and in the second over, Nissanka was out bowled by Kuhnemann, absolute jaffa for 8. He hit a couple of boundaries in the first over, but Kuhnemann just pushed him back and defeated him. Very good ball. And then Karunaratne was out for 14, caught by Carey off Kuhnemann, just a little feather defending, and that was his last test inning. So he was given quite a good send-off. His mate at the other end, Chandimal, came up and shook his hand, gave him a hug. The Australians gave him a good applause as he went off, and that had the score 2 for 33. And then Dinesh Chandimal was out, caught by Webster off Lyon. And that was Lyon's 550th test wicket. He's just the 7th player to do that and the third Australian. And, some symmetry that he did it against Sri Lanka, the team he made his debut all those years ago. And, just to think he's catching McGrath. And I just don't think anyone could have imagined what a storied career that Lyon would have after those early days where he's in and out of the side. So it was just fantastic. Chandimal won't be happy with that shot. He was caught at mid-off. Good catch by Webster coming in, taking it pretty low, but I don't think Chandimal will be too happy with that shot at all. And then the next wicket to go, well, Kamindu Mendes survived a very close LBW offline that was reviewed. But not long after that, he was caught driving again. Bit of a lazy shot here from Kamindu Mendes, who promised so much coming into this series, averaging 75. Just miscued one. It was up there on the drive and chipped it to Khawaja at mid-off, who took a pretty easy catch. And a couple of disappointing dismissals there for Sri Lanka, and that had them 4 for 98 at tea. And then we saw a little mini partnership, a little mini fight back from the skipper DDS, Dhananjaya De Silva, and Angelo Matthews, the veteran. They took the score from 4 for 81 to 5 for 128. So again, this is where if you're Australia, you start to get a bit nervous because what you don't want is a big partnership from the opposition, as I said with Smith and Carey. Once you're in on this wicket and got used to the condition, there was a chance you could go big, especially some of the local batters. But Steve Smith took an absolutely stunning catch off De Silva. Kuhnemann was the bowler. He found the outside edge, and Smith dived low to his right. It was just another special catch from Smith. That was his 198th test catch, and he's taken none better in his career. I've always said that Mark Waugh's the best slip fielder I've ever seen, and this catch was reminiscent of some of the stuff Mark Waugh used to take. It went quickly, Smith was up close, and he just plucked it from nowhere. So that brought Kusal Mendes to the crease, and he started going at a runner ball straight away, and he put pressure back onto the Australian bowlers. And it was this point, maybe you could think, is Australia a bowler short here? But then there was this beautiful battle between Matthews and Lyon, where Lyon was tempting Matthews into the sweep shot, and Matthews was, miscuing a lot of them, but they just weren't going to where the fielders were. And Smith was moving the fielders around to try and get them in the right spot, and they were bouncing everywhere but in the fielders' hands. So, while this was going on, Mendes was just going to run a ball, and eventually Matthews was out sweeping. He miscued one again. He's on 76 at this stage, and Bo Webster, big buckets. Bo Webster has made such an impression in the field, running around to his right in the outfield, dived and took a low catch just off the ground, and that was Nathan Lyon's third wicket. Tremendous stuff. Now, actually, when I saw this catch, I wondered if Bo Webster had control of the ball when he threw it up. So he took the catch very low off the ground, and then he sort of, as he's rolling over, he throws the ball up in celebration. And I think he did have control of the ball, but I think the rule is you need to be sort of, I don't know if his catching motion had finished. Like, I think you need to finish the catching motion before you can throw it up. And I was surprised Matthews, who's a veteran, didn't hang around and ask for it to be reviewed. He walked off, and look, I think it was out. It was a good catch. There was no doubt about it. But we've seen recently that if these are reviewed and there's any doubt in the disposal of the ball being in the catching motion, then you can survive. But Matthews trudged off for 76. And that was just before stumps. I mean, Sri Lanka at this stage, they're in front. They're about 40 odd in front. And these two are looking good. I mean, the thinking was if they could get through to stumps with these two intact, 5 down, then maybe they can push that lead on tomorrow morning. But then Matthews went. And then in the next over, finally, Bo Webster came on to bowl his off spinners in the Test series. And Ramesh Mendes just propped forward and bat padded one straight to Travis Head. So that was Webster's second Test wicket, his first as an off spinner, and Australia had gone bang, bang, and terrific stuff. But the drama wasn't finished there, and this is where we saw the genius of Steve Smith. So for the last over of the day, Prabhat Jayasuriya, the right-hander, was on strike. Webster was going to bowl, but Smith at the last minute changed his mind and brought on Matthew Kuhnemann, because Kuhnemann, well, he's bowled excellently all day, but he does spin the ball away from the right-hander, maybe bringing the slips in the outside of the bat more into play. And what do you know? First ball of Kuhnemann's over, Jayasuriya edges one to the aforementioned Steve Smith, who takes the catch. His 199th Test catch. And Sri Lanka finished the day 8 for 211 with a lead of just 54. So remarkable day. Kuhnemann finished with figures of 4 for 52. Nathan Lyon 3 for 80. Webster 1 for 6. And you would imagine from here Australia will just finish off Sri Lanka tomorrow morning and probably score the runs pretty quickly, and it'll be a 2-0 series win. And I think today, Kuhnemann was special. That 4 for 52 just further underlines his quality, his class. He doesn't bowl many loose balls. He bowls, he's always bowling the ball in the right areas. And I think we've got a genuine option now as another attacking spinner to go with Nathan Lyon. Nathan Lyon's fantastic, but I can see a situation now where you could be thinking about rotating Lyon and Kuhnemann a little bit in different conditions. It'd be interesting to see what they do in the West Indies when they go there after the World Test Championship final. Those pitches may spin as well, so you could see Kuhnemann and Lyon play probably with 2 quick bowlers. I don't think they'd go in with just one quick bowler like they've gone in with this Test match. But so look, although Sri Lanka gave us a glimmer of a hope that there would be an exciting finish, I think Australia were going to do this in a canter, and what a victory it'll be for Steve Smith and his men. Look, I'm not going to revel in it yet. I'll wait till the boys have done the job, but that last sort of 45 minutes today was thrilling stuff, as Sri Lanka looked like they might be able to challenge us. It was just snuffed out with combination of, exquisite tactics, brilliant bowling, and excellent catching. So anyway, that's it for the day 3 wrap from Gaul. Thanks everybody for listening. Don't forget to rate and review the podcast on your favorite app. Leave a review on the Apple Store or rate the show on Spotify. And I'll be back after day 4.